It's another edition of Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. Kendra Winchester has been with me for the entire week, and we have really been all over the map, Kendra.
We have.
So, where are we traveling to today?
So we are going with the Anti-Ableist Manifesto, Smashing Stereotypes, Forging Change, and Building a Disability Inclusive World by Tiffany Yu. And this is performed by the author.
Oh, I've heard her give TED Talks. She's really great.
Yes, like she has such a phenomenal speaking voice. I first discovered her on TikTok where she did this anti-ableist series of TikToks and discusses language and all sorts of things. So I was so delighted to see like that content turned into audiobook form.
Great. And I want her to be a good narrator, is she?
I find her very clear, very bright. There's a lot of information. So the only times that kind of were sticky a little bit were just when there's so much information. But
Mhm.
overall, I really enjoyed her performance because you can tell she is a very experienced public speaker.
Well, tell us a little bit about this book. It really is a reference book, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. And I think that it would be a great book to give someone, like, for example, as a disabled person, oftentimes it can be a lot to try to explain things to people. And I enjoy having books, just being able to hand someone to read as a reference. And so, like, for example, Tiffany Yu discusses language, like the offensive words that we use in our everyday life that we may not know are actually offensive, like crazy, insane, lame, stupid, dumb. Those are all offensive words to the disability community, and a lot of people don't even realize it. So it's nice to have a book like this to share information like that.
And she does a lot of research. I mean, I know she uses her own personal experiences, but she also does a lot of research, at least she did with her TED Talk.
Yes, she does. She is just so academically talented. She can do it all, it seems. So she does a lot of research on different aspects of disability. She tells her own story of how she was in an accident as a child and one of her arms became paralyzed. And she also experiences PTSD from that event. So she talks a lot about mental health and the combination of disabilities that she has and what that might look for someone else. And it's just a very informative book all around.
Well, let's listen to it, shall we? Do you need to set this up or is it obvious?
This is about her experience when she first had her accident.
Okay. This is the Anti-Ableist Manifesto, Smashing Stereotypes, Forging Change, and Building a Disability Inclusive World, written and read by Tiffany Yu.
Let's start from the beginning. I'm the youngest daughter of a Taiwanese immigrant and a refugee from the Vietnam War. I was born in Washington, D.C., and grew up nearby in Maryland with short stints in Barbados and Taiwan, both when I was too young to remember. On November 29, 1997, I was in fourth grade. It was a Sunday, and I was getting ready to go back to school after the Thanksgiving break. I had not only celebrated Thanksgiving with my mom, dad, and 3 siblings, but my dad's 49th birthday had been the day before, on November 28th. My mom had a business trip to Taiwan planned the next day, so my dad, one of my brothers, my sister, and I piled into our Toyota Camry to see her off to the airport. When we were on our way home, my dad lost control of the car, which flew across the empty lanes of the highway. The last thing I remember was some greenery on the side of the road. Luckily, no other cars were involved. When I regained consciousness, I was in a helicopter on my way to Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. I had broken my femur and tibia in my left leg and had acquired a severe nerve injury in my right arm known as a traumatic brachial plexus injury, TBPI, a type of paralysis.
She sounds like she's speaking directly to me.
She does.
And I like that. I mean, there's been so much conversation about this book because it's just so important to have a book that gives allies really practical suggestions and for inclusivity.
Yes. And, like Tiffany points out, most people will be disabled at some point in their lifetime, as they
Yeah.
age and different things. And so it's just vital information for everyone. And one of the things I love is that her narration is so warm and inviting. but she also is not, she does not shy away from calling out ableism, when she sees it. She has a lot of experience of like disability in the workplace and has a lot of great tips for that as well, which I found very
Good.
helpful because as a disabled person in
Mhm.
the workspace, that has been very difficult to navigate, to ask for accommodations. Some people don't know legally what they are allowed to request, and all that information is here in the book.
Right, and that it's not a favor,
Right, right.
which I think is so important. Yeah, and I think there's also a difference between accessibility and really welcoming.
Yes. And she did found a organization called Diversability, and it really advocates for disabled people in a lot of different avenues. And so I didn't realize that she was the founder of Diversability until I picked up this book and I was like, oh, okay, all the connections
It all made
like
sense.
clicked. It did, yeah.
Okay, great suggestion. That is the Anti-Ableist Manifesto. It's written and read by Tiffany Yu. Kendra, thank you so much.
Of course. Always happy to talk audiobooks. We're just really just love to fangirl over
I
here.
know we really do. We do the fangirl a lot, so thank you. Behind the Mic is produced by Jessica Lockhart. Robin Witten, Michelle Cobb, Emily Connolly, Alan Minskoff, and Kendra Winchester are our contributors. Jennifer Dow is our editor. The music is William Ross Chernoff's Nomads Four Way. And I'm your host, Joe Reed. Good listening.